So another thing I'm doing, because I'm doing so many readings in so many different homes, is I'm trying to read different sections every time. And ideally going to read at least one section that I've never read out loud ever. So if it totally bombs, don't worry, it's been going great everywhere else. But you know, I just figured it seems like when people do readings, you just have that one thing it always hits, so you always do that, and you never find out what else in your book might read well. So I've just made like a commitment to just reading something different each time. I'm gonna read a section maybe, and then we'll have questions, and then I'll read like the next section based on the questions, because usually the questions are answered somewhere in the book. And I think, not for any particular reason, but I think I'm going to start out with a section that has last sex. Just because that's what I feel like doing. And it's Fort Lauderdale, and it's hot here. I meet a woman in Culver City. She's short and curvy with thick bleached hair and lives in a complex at the intersection of two 6-lane roads. The cars speed past like on a highway. I don't see how anyone could ever get across. Outside her apartment are lots filled with half-constructed buildings, but nobody's working on them. Los Angeles is a place where things take a long time to happen. It's 11 in the morning, and before anything, she wants to take her dog for a walk. There are no pedestrians on the bright white sidewalks, and her dog takes a crap on the unfinished driveway in front of her neighbor's garage. She looks around, gripping a fistful of plastic bags. "I'm not picking that up," she says. I drive with her and her boyfriend through the hills of the 405, past the Getty, into the valley. Everything is hot and flat, the grass is brown, and weeds sprout from the walk. We stop in a 7-Eleven next to a gas station and load up on red vines and bottled water before turning into a nondescript alley and parking behind a low, windowless building with a thick iron door. This used to be public storage. The entry is lit with low-wattage fluorescent bulbs. A woman sits at an old computer playing solitaire without acknowledging us. The house madam sits on a black couch near the entrance, and we talk for a while before the four of us head into the second room, where there's an 8-foot chain web against one wall, a leather bed, and a short, padded spanking bench with knee rests. "This is a good place," the madam says, "as long as there aren't any customers. If a client comes, he'll have to walk right through here to get to any of the other rooms." "Are you ready?" she asks, running her fingers inside my shirt and pinching my nipples with her long nails. "Yes," I say. It's too late to say anything else. And anyway, it feels good. I don't really want to know what's going to happen. The house madam leaves, and I take my clothes off, and the woman from Culver City fastens leather cuffs around my ankles, latching a spreader bar to them to keep my legs forced apart. She fastens nipple clamps with weights on the ends, pushes me over the bed, and slides inside me with her strap on. I'm wearing a rubber mask and a blindfold, so I can't see her boyfriend moving around behind us with the camera. She leans over me, one hand gripping my throat, and the other pressing down on my back. This is fine, I think. I'll just stay like this. When the filming is over, and I'm getting dressed, the boyfriend offers me a can of energy cola. "You were great," he says. "We couldn't ask for a better victim." It's not the first time I've been photographed nude, but it's the first video. When I was 21 and working as a stripper in Chicago, I was asked to make a porn. I made a demo which consisted of masturbating while the director shot pictures with a small Kodak, but then I decided I didn't want to be in the film. I thought I might regret it. Now I know I wouldn't have regretted it. It wouldn't have meant anything. At the time, I was just out of college and I didn't know what to do. In college, I was a history major. I started hanging out at a club called Berlin, flirting with the bartenders and the cocktail servers. I had nowhere to go, but I liked to dance. I walked the runway in striped shorts with orange straps across my shoulders, moving as slowly as I could, basking in the glow of the runner lights. A crowd of club-goers gathered along the sides and stretched their arms toward my ankles. I passed through the mesh curtains into the dressing room and asked if I could go again. "You are so vain," the bartender said, patting my ass. My stripper year was also my heroin year. When I headed with my friends to the west side through the remnants of the '68 riots to pick up bundles from men on lawn chairs in front of abandoned lots. At the same time, I was just starting film school and getting along better with my father. I would hang out at his house and we would tell each other stories, things that had nothing to do with my childhood. We never discussed what led to me leaving home so young and the state taking custody. We had different interpretations of what happened, and if we got anywhere near the subject, it felt like our fragile reconciliation wouldn't survive. My father would compliment me, tell me how much better my work was than the other film students. "They don't understand narrative," he said. "Most people don't know how to tell a story." He was proud of me, but not for working hard. Working hard was for suckers. He thought I had talents that other people didn't, talents that we shared. I soaked up his compliments, but I didn't trust him enough to share my feelings. I knew that if I admitted any vulnerability, someday he would use it against me. It was a feature of his rage. When he was angry, he would grasp for whatever meant the most to you and destroy it. When I was with him, I would tell him how well everything was going, how happy my life was, and when I left, I replayed his compliments in my mind as if they were on a cassette and I was wearing invisible headphones. One day I came over and my father was limping, his body twisting at right angles, his chest nearly paralleled the ground as he walked. Growling, he gripped the furniture, grasping the edge of the large white couches he'd bought with his new wife. "Motherfucker!" he screamed. He turned to me, face red, eyes looking like they wanted to jump out of his skull. My big, strong, vain, and fearsome father, with his beautiful body, always lifting weights so his chest and arms were thick, strutting naked through the house past my mother and I, his cock flapping between his legs, but now he seemed broken. "My body is a burning building," he shouted. "I have to get out." I felt a surge of emotion like I had never felt for my mother. My father left and I was alone in his big suburban house with the nice furniture. I cried for a long time, a deep, uncontrollable cry. Shortly after that, his spine collapsed and he was placed in a halo, and he moved to the first floor because he couldn't climb the stairs to the bedroom where he'd installed skylights. His new wife was trying to leave him, and I said to her, "Now is the time." But she didn't, and I wasn't really that involved. It was a period of my life that could have gone either way, or maybe not. Maybe there's only one way to go with a needle. I went to school. I took my clothes off at the manhole. Men ran their fingers along my legs, working their tips inside my underwear. I pressed my back against them at the Bijou Sunday mornings, rubbed my cheek against their necks. It all made sense at the time. 22 years old, a year out of college, graduate school, the rapprochement with my father, the nights and weekends spent dancing on a box, bathing in anonymous attention, the rigs full of heroin. But when I try to make sense of it now, it's like a soup. How could I be so many different people? My stripper year ended with an overdose in a rented room a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and when I got out of the hospital, I spiraled into a period of unbearable depression. I was never the same after that. Returning from the dungeon, the woman's boyfriend drives my rental, while I lay my head in her lap. She wears tight jeans and I press against her legs, and she runs her fingers absently around my ear. A truck passes us with a placard stuck to the sideboard. "We cheat the other guy and pass the savings on to you." It takes a while in rush hour through the 405. She says she's hungry and wants to stop for Mexican food. I tell her I need to get back to Hollywood, where I've been sleeping on my friend's couch. I have no idea why I'm in LA. It's a city I've never liked. I've been having the latest in a string of minor breakdowns. According to the book I'm reading, these breakdowns are going to become more frequent and more severe, but it doesn't happen. I start to feel better almost right away. So that's that section.